This is the drama triangle. I didn't develop this tool. Some brilliant counselor in the 60s or 70s, whose name I can never remember, developed this tool. It's just one of those teachings that's so great and works in so many different relationships that it just never went out of style. So you'll notice drama triangles usually starting in your family, and you can have them at work. You can get into a drama triangle with your friends, pretty much any type of relationship where there's a number of people. You can get caught in a drama triangle. If you're in a drama triangle, it will never be a healthy relationship. And I'll also tell you how you can get out of a drama triangle. So there's 3 roles: victim, rescuer, persecutor. The victim is the perceived weak person, the person who seems like they need more help than your sort of average, ordinary adult. Then there's a rescuer. That's a person who feels a compulsion, like an overwhelming addiction, to saving the victim from their fate, from the persecutor. Now, what I realized, so I learned this long ago, and what I realized from all the years of counseling is there can be 3 types of persecutors. So the way most people teach it, the way you'll see it if you search it online, and I think even the way the originator, the author of it, taught it, was that the persecutor is an abuser, some abusive person. But over time, and from doing counseling and just watching people in drama triangles, I realized that there's 3 types, and also there's not a bad guy. That's dualistic thinking: right, wrong, good, bad, high, low, hot, cold. So instead of right, wrong, good, bad, we're going to take those words out of your vocabulary and use works, doesn't work. They're more non-judgmental. So in a drama triangle, these people think of, so there's 3 different types of threats. One is there is a bad guy. There's a bad guy. And you can think of the bad guy as, here's a stereotype of a drama triangle bad guy. Imagine abusive husband comes home drunk a couple of times a week and starts beating up victim mom, and who, even though she's an adult, and she could say, husband, last time was the last time. Come home drunk one more time, and you will find the locks changed, and the, you're not getting in. If you bang on the door, I'm calling the police. And you're going to rehab. You will not be just getting right back into the house when they release you. And but she doesn't do that. So because she doesn't do that, teenage son or daughter develops a compulsion, like an addiction, to start trying to save and protect mom from dad. And that's unhealthy. And that person, teenage son or daughter, will grow up to be a rescuer, and they will get into more relationships where their mate that they're in relationship with is kind of like the bird with the broken wing person that they have to fix. Sometimes the threat is an idea. So a lot of times people will drag, especially their little boys, to me for counseling. The kid's been diagnosed ADHD. He was labeled, he's been medicated for it, and they heard that I can help people cure their kids' ADHD without medicating. And I can, and it's quick and easy. And so when they first come in, the parent says, I'm worried about him, and I want to save him from getting bad grades in school. He won't do his homework. So I've tried everything. I've tried rewarding him and punishing him. I've tried doing his homework with him. I've even done his homework for him. And he still won't apply himself. That's what happens, because it's trained weakness. It's trained, what's the word people use? Trained. Thank you. Learned Helplessness. That's it. Learned helplessness because they grew up with the rescuer person. And so the parent says, I am afraid of this idea that my son won't be a success. He won't get good grades in school, so he won't get into a good college, and then he won't get a good job, and then he won't fit my idea of success, which is X amount of dollars per year. And then we have to, first thing we do is adjust their idea of success. The kid is a success if he's happy and kind to other people. He's a success. So that's another rescuer, victim, persecutor is an idea. This fear that XYZ is going to happen. Then the third and final one is when people are rescuing each other, rescuing somebody from feeling bad. So I have couples lots of times, and they're very polite, and they won't be honest with each other because someone might get their feelings hurt. Long time ago, I had a girlfriend who was married for 14 years. She had 2 young teenage kids, and she was never in love with her husband. He was a lot older than her when they met, and he kind of talked her into it. I can give you stability and a good life, and maybe you'll learn to love me, and I have enough love for both of us. So she married him, and 14 years later, she's been in this marriage where she's never been in love with her husband. And I said, it's okay for you to get divorced because you're actually in the way of the woman who would really love him. And she used to say, eventually she did, and she's ecstatically happy now and traveling the world. And but she used to say, originally she would say, I can't ask him for a divorce. That would really hurt his feelings. He's in love with me. So she was staying in the relationship to protect her husband from feeling bad. So a lot of times when I'm having this conversation with people about a narcissist, how to fix the narcissist, my other YouTube video, it's you can't have a narcissist without a rescuer, somebody who is somehow catering to their feelings or trying to win their approval. So now watch this. Here's what happened. So here's what the counselor who developed the drama triangle didn't figure out. Well, first of all, he didn't figure out this part, the idea. He got up to the rescuer, victim, bad guy. That's where it stops if you look this paradigm up online. I'm the genius who got idea and bad guy as the other threats. So, and this part, here's what I realized over time as a counselor. The rescuer has this compulsion to save the victim. I always draw this line going down. That might be, here's another good example. Parents can end up rescuing their kids lots of times because you love them and it's really hard not to. And there could be like a wealthy parent and they've got a son, a 16, 17-year-old son who keeps on getting speeding tickets or getting into car accidents and or maybe even gets caught drunk driving and they have to pick him up in jail and they just keep bailing him out. So he never learns. So you can actually, this is supporting a person in their weakness instead of their strength. That's codependent. That's drama triangle. Supporting a person in their weakness instead of their strength. So one of my favorite couples books that talks more about that is Conscious Loving by Gay and Kathleen Hendricks. So I always draw this line down. The rescuer is giving, 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 giving. In fact, you can hear rescuers lots of times saying, you never give back. But that's because this is the setup. And part of the rescuer's ego strokes are, I'm the hero. I'm the strong one. I'm the one who's got their shit together. So they actually have a subconscious investment in the victim staying weak because it upsets their facade. So I always draw this arrow going down because it is condescending, SCEN. I always have to spell. It is condescending to look at another person, another adult, and even an older kid or even a younger kid who they know how to tie their shoes. They just won't do it. I write about a kid like this in my parenting book. Did I write about this kid in Raising Humane Beings? Because there was a kid, the mom dragged him in for counseling. He won't do anything himself. He won't cut his meat, feed himself. He was like 7, 8. And he he won't tie his shoes. And I said, so his shoes look tied. So, I'm looking at his shoes. I go, his shoes look tied. How are they getting tied? I tie them. I get down on my hands and knees. I have to tie his shoes. I have to cut his meat. I have to feed him sometimes. And I said, oh, okay. Stop. Stop doing that. But what if he trips? And I say, that'll be a hard lesson, but he's going to learn. And the next time she came back in, she goes, wow, you can't believe what happened, Jane. We were at the zoo. His shoes weren't tied because I stopped tying them. And he was going over to the pond to be mean, to kick a duck. And he got close to the duck and he tried to kick. He didn't kick the duck, but his shoe flew off and into the pond. And I said, oh, well, that's so sad. We should walk all around the zoo with only one shoe on for you. I'm sorry, that's sad. And she said, but I wasn't going to get it. And she goes, it was just lucky for him that there was a groundskeeper on the nearby cleaning the pond who took the shoe out. But then he was bummed out that he had to walk around the zoo with a wet shoe the whole day. And she said, so he started tying his shoes. So you have to allow a person to suffer the natural and logical consequences of their choices for them to gain mental, emotional maturity. Now, it's condescending to think of this person as weak. And what happens then is this victim person, it will never be enough. It'll never, ever, ever be enough. And the victim person, because you can't give enough to save them. And you giving more and more doesn't save them. So this victim person ends up resenting the giver, the rescuer. And one reason is it's condescending to look down on them and think they're weak. And another reason is they'll always want more and it'll never be enough. And subconsciously, the contract is, I'm going to keep giving to you to keep you stuck. And that can deep down piss a person off. And can you think of any other reasons that I might be missing that a victim would end up resenting a rescuer? Have you ever been in a situation where you tried to be and do and give what that other person wanted, and they still weren't happy with you?
I can only think of feeling the resentment because you feel that condescension, like you feel like a child, or you feel like you can't ever do it on your own, and that person will never see you as being whole. That's kind of the only.
Oh, that's such a good point.
They kind of see you as being broken and will never see you as being fully capable.
Yes. The rescuer will never see the victim as being whole. You're the screw up, you're the fuck up, you're the person I have to save. I mean, I've had couples where the woman was really sad and angry at herself, and she didn't like her body, and she just had baby weight is all it was. And the husband was real, slightly critical, little sniper attacks. It's divisive. And then she started to feel better, go out with her girlfriends more, and eat better and take walks with her friends and started to just begin to lose weight. And the husband would bring home donuts and cake and things from the office or the grocery store to sabotage. Are you nodding because you've had
Yeah.
seen it,
experienced it,
lived it? Yeah, sneaky, man, sneaky. So now here's the punchline to the whole thing. When I ask my rescuer clients to begin refraining from rescuing, start tapering off, dialing that back. One of the first things that can happen is any people or person that you're rescuing is going to start getting mad at you, but that's okay. Don't get mad at them for getting mad at you. In fact, you can say to them, I understand your anger. I understand this being uncomfortable and different for you because I'm changing rules mid-game. We should call it changing horses midstream. Back in Missouri. So it's like not fair because this is what you had set up with that person or those people from the beginning. I've seen people, their family members got mad at them for stopping. What do you mean you're not helping your little sister out anymore? What do you mean? And when you say, well, she's not really little anymore. She's 21 and I'm 25. So it's not that big a difference in age. And so mom and dad, I'm not helping her. And now you go from being the rescuer to you're the bad guy. So you're screwed. If you're in a drama triangle, you're screwed. Oh, so starting to step out of a drama triangle for victim, it is like really standing on your own 2 feet and saying, no, thank you. I love you, but I'm not going to be taking from you anymore. For the persecutor, if you're being pegged as the, family bad guy, you have to just, you can try to talk to these people about the dynamic, but if they won't listen, you kind of have to leave. You have to step completely out and just have one-on-one relationships with the people that are in a healthier place in your family. But if you're the rescuer, and I have a lot of clients who they're in this paradigm and they're the rescuer. And when I say I want you to start stopping rescuing, you're going to stop doing everybody's laundry, or you're going to stop cooking for everybody, or you're going to do grocery shopping just for you because your kids are older teenagers and you are still making their beds and cleaning their rooms and making their breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, and they should be helping you out. And when a rescuer starts stopping, they become overwhelmed with guilt and anxiety. So have you ever been a rescuer, stuck in the rescuer position, and you tried to stop, and every time you tried to stop, you felt overwhelmed with guilt and anxiety? And usually when we feel that, we cave and do our old behavior because we hate that feeling. Oh, and if you do start stopping, then this person says, you're being so selfish. Have you ever heard that? That's a real good gaslighter narcissist thing to say. Has that, you're being so selfish, or you're being so mean, has that ever gotten you to cave into your old behavior? Yeah, it really works. But I always tell people, I want you to think of guilt and anxiety as the magic carpet emotions. And if you can just breathe through it and ride it out, you will go on the long, windy journey to the higher levels where there is more health, wealth, peace, love, serenity, joy, happiness, goodness, all of the wonderful things and feelings that you desire and deserve. But it doesn't start until you start stopping rescuing and get on the magic carpet of guilt and anxiety and just know that, here you are, guilt and anxiety. I hear you, I feel you, I see you. You won't kill me. You're not going to kill me. I can just breathe through it. And those feelings will eventually subside. They'll come and go, but eventually they won't vex you like they did back when you were stuck in a drama triangle. What do you think of that? Anything you want to add?
The way my brain's kind of perceiving this is it kind of, can you also kind of be two at the same time to like the other person? Because I kind of feel like
Yes.
if I was in this relationship with my ex who was a narcissist, she was oftentimes the rescuer in her brain. Like I needed help, so she would rescue me. But then she was also the persecutor, and then she would rescue me from her treating me poorly. So that's how she would. It was a very
Glad you said that.
strong bond, that trauma bond, because she would do really horrible, mean things or say things that were gaslighting, manipulative.
Yeah.
But then would come back and rescue me from that.
Yes.
So she would cause the pain and relieve the pain.
Yes.
But then also
like once you're on your knees.
Yeah.
Like, and just broken.
Yeah, completely broken. And then she's rescuing me.
Then she's knocked you down below her, below the level that she's at, so she can come in and be the hero.
Yeah. So she's kind of like solidifying her rescuing act.
Yes.
But then also I can see as if I was the victim, and then not maybe taking that role, trying to get out of that victim role, but then becoming the persecutor because I'm then not like acquiescing to that role of victim, like, according to what they think you should be. So then again, they're not letting you out of that role.
Yes.
That's what you are to them, and you're not supposed to stray from that.
Yes. Yes. Like you're not being meek or weak enough.
So then you become
they see you as the bad guy. I had two sisters, and one sister was just naturally gregarious and extroverted, and the other sister, who was older, was more introverted and didn't feel her power as much. So the meeker sister always saw the stronger sister as bad guy. Except if the stronger sister had some debilitating something, she got cancer. And then the meek sister would then go to rescue her and would see the stronger sister as the victim. I'll save you, I can save you from cancer, from this idea that you might die. And then as soon as the stronger sister was better from the cancer, the meeker sister saw her as the bad guy again.
So everything's kind of interchangeable, like you're shifting.
Yes. And the meeker sister, seeing the stronger sister as the bad guy persecutor, saw herself as the victim. So yes, people can see the other person in different roles and see themselves in different roles. And there's just no way to be in a drama triangle and have a clean relationship.
Is there a way that people can be both things at the same time? So like,
I think so.
A victim is a victim in this area, but then in a different area, they're the rescuer, and then they like cross.
I think so. Do you have an example?
Someone I was dating, he handled all the finances because I was down on finances, and so he was my rescuer and I was the victim, even though he like wouldn't let me work. He wouldn't let me go out and work.
Yeah.
But then like with like organizing other life stuff, I was the one helping him, and keeping him on track, and I was his rescuer for that. So it was like we were both.
In different areas.
Yeah, at any given minute.
Yeah. Did he ever perceive you as the bad guy, Persecutor, if you started to like get up on your feet? And
Financially,
how was he with independence?
he was really bad.
He was bad with you being more independent. Yeah. How was your ex with your
Yeah, it
independence?
wasn't okay. It was not. I
It's
wasn't
not
really
okay.
allowed to have friends and go out. I mean, I could have friends, but I wasn't really allowed to do much with them alone. It caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, there might be some kind of payback or punishment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. Did you get to a point where, well, I'll ask both of you, did you get to a point where you realized, oh, I'm in an unhealthy dynamic and I need to step out? And because one of the things I've seen people who are labeled narcissist do is make you wrong if you don't protect their feelings, protecting their feelings, like buffering them from the world. And that's this one. Your job is to rescue them from bad feelings. The threat is the world and things that might cause a bad feeling, which includes your independence.
I did at the end when we split. That was. I was just telling Kate, I did have that like moment of clarity that just was like, this is never going to change. And I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know it was narcissism. I had never done that deep dive and really known what it was and what it entailed. And so once I started really researching that, I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm experiencing for 5 years. And I knew something wasn't right. And I tried to actually get out of it several times because I knew I was like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. Something's not healthy. We're fighting all the time. Like, what is going on?
And it goes round and round.
Right. And it was constantly going back to the same thing over and over. And so I actually did try to leave a few times, but then it's like the manipulation, the gaslighting, that trauma bond, everything that they talk about in narcissistic relationships. It was
right. And the
so
fear of being alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which a lot of people
losing
have.
my dogs, my house, everything. I lost everything. And so I was like trying to mentally prepare myself for that. And it took a while for me to kind of get there. And once everything kind of became very clear, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to lose everything.
Yeah.
I have to, because I'm losing myself. And if I don't do all this and lose all the extraneous things, then I'm just going to be miserable the rest of my life.
Yeah. It kills you a little bit.
It did. Yeah.
You made me remember something too. The rescuer often feels like if I give the victim enough, especially if this is an adult who is just simply reaching and needing, the victim at a certain level is trying to get approval of rescuer because they're always seeing them as the broken person, the broken, weak person, the victim. The rescuer thinks if I give enough, I can fix them, which is just a handy way to stay safely away from love, staying focused on fixing another person. And if I give them enough, they will finally be fulfilled and their appetite, their need will be sated. They will be full from my giving. It just doesn't ever work like that. So a lot of what's going on under sea level is the need for approval. So I've seen people get locked in a family trauma triangle for their whole entire life. That is what happened with the sister, with the stronger sister. Just wanted to be accepted in the family and didn't want to be seen as the bad guy. And she had to accept that, oh, I have a need for approval. Like if I could just get approval, I won't be the bad guy. So being seen here and just trying to twist herself into emotional pretzels to be acceptable enough to gain approval and be taken into the magic circle that who wants to be in anyway. So that's the drama triangle. So it starts with, if you're in the rescuer shoes, it starts with being willing to just breathe through your guilt and anxiety. So you can take this long, windy, scary, exciting journey to the higher levels where there's all the goodness that you desire and deserve up there. So, drama triangle.
Isn't there a fine line though between the whole you're protecting your person from bad feelings, but then you should be trying to meet their emotional needs at the same time. So where's the line for that?
That is such a good question. When you are meeting, say, a beloved's emotional needs in a healthy way, you feel stronger and more full with energy afterwards. When you're saving a victim, you feel more depleted and exhausted. So you're giving from wrong place. So that's a really good question for a counselor to ask themselves, because a lot of people go into counseling, they get that job because they're a rescuer and they want to save people. And that's why of my master's class, we all went through together. We went through an adult program. And I think only, after 5 years, after we graduated, I think only 2 of us were still practicing therapists. Me and one other guy. And, maybe one other gal. Oh, I should check in with her. I haven't checked in with her in a long time. But a therapist has to, and any person, has to consciously set for themselves, I'm going to give empathy, not sympathy. Empathy is, I'm beside you. I'm walking beside you. I'm not going to take your load on me. I'm not going to take your load on. I'm going to walk beside you while you're carrying your load. Because that is every human has their lumps of coal that they're destined to have. And under tons of pressure from life, that becomes their diamonds, their gifts. And if you rescue somebody, or if you have sympathy, oh, poor you, this is so terrible. What are we going to do? He's so mean. Why did he do that to you? I'm on your side, or whatever the thing is. It's sympathy. It's not healthy. Oh, so I'm so glad you said that, Kate. So one of the things, so I'm right here and I love you. And so when a rescuer says, well, why, that's my kid. I live with my kid. How am I going to, I've been doing this for 18 years, for 20 years, for 25 years, and he still lives in my house. Instead of saying, here's what you do, victim, you got to go on some interviews. You can search online. You're going to, map out a plan where you're going to go at interviews and where you're going to send your resumes. No, stop doing that. That's fixing it for them. You're not going to do that. You're just going to say, here's my boundary. You have 60 days. And then you're out of the house because you're a grown-up now. And when they say, but I don't have a job, what'll I do? Because you already put them through college, you paid for that. Now they have a degree. And you're just going to say, you're not going to say, well, you're not freeloading me off of me anymore, moocher. You're going to say, I believe, my handwriting is looking crazy right now. I believe in you. And your power to whatever, and your power to get an amazing job that you love, or I believe in you and your ability to figure it out. and I'm not going to jerk away. It's your kid. If it's a relationship where you can't just say peace out, brother, you've been narcissisting me. Gaslighting. You've been gaslighting me, mofo. You can't say that because it's your kid. New word. If it's your kid or somebody where you're, kind of stuck together, you're going to say, I'm right here loving you. And here's my boundary. And I believe in you and your power too. Whatever. Blah, blah, blah. I believe in you and your power too. XYZ. Because, okay, one last thing I'll say about this. And this I did write about in Raising Humane Beings in my parenting book, which is a self-help book disguised as a parenting book. Long ago, when they first invented personal home computers, this story started going around the internet. People were emailing it to each other. Somebody sent me this story. True story. A man was walking along through the woods and he came upon a little chrysalis and a butterfly just starting to emerge. And he sat down to watch it, and it would fight and fight to get out of the cocoon, and then it would rest for a little while, and then it would struggle some more. And after like 20 minutes, it still only had its head out and maybe top of its wings. And he thought, well, I have a little Swiss Army knife with really delicate scissors, and I'll just help it out. And so he very carefully cut the cocoon open, and he set it back down, and the butterfly pushed the chrysalis open, and it tumbled out, and it tried to stand up, and it had a big swollen body and little crumpled up wings. And he watched it for a while as it struggled and kind of staggered around, and then it flopped over and died. And he went home and he messaged his botanist friend describing what happened. And he said, what do you think was wrong with that butterfly? And the botanist said, there was nothing wrong with the butterfly. It has to go through that struggle on its own. Squeezing out of the chrysalis forces the fluid out of its body and into its wings. And then it fans its wings and they dry in the sun. And then it sails away. It can fly as soon as it's born out of that chrysalis. So when people help their kids or anybody too much, they're crippled for life. And then they die.
I was just going to say, and then they die.
And then they die.
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening. Would you hit
That was
the
really helpful.
off button for me, please? It was helpful?
Yeah.